He always has a lot of details when it comes to stock picking and what's going on, and I like that he's a market geek like the rest of us, which I appreciate. So what are your thoughts on the week's action that we saw? Obviously, it was a great week, a week that was. In fact, some of the indices are up over 5%. What's the takeaway on that?
This is the right time to be invested. There's so much right that's happening. And I know, Nicole, there's so much that's been kind of not right, so much arguably even wrong. And yet, when you think about a Congress that has our back in the form of fiscal stimulus, when you think about a Federal Reserve that has our back in the form of not only low interest rates, but even bond buying, when you think about companies that effectively have our back as investors in terms of their ability to grow earnings and come out of this thing, when you talk about just hardworking men and women who effectively, again, have our back as investors because they are out there driving this economy forward and helping all of us get back to normal, there's a lot more to like than not to like. And this is a time you want to be invested, Nicole.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I know you had some thoughts. I want to get to some of your picks and things, but you had some thoughts on what we've been seeing with the Treasury yields on the rise. Gold and the U.S. dollar are another factor here. How do they normally act? And do you think that they're going to act a little differently than what we're used to seeing?
Yeah, and I think it's important to point out that there are some macro things that we need to consider. I'm a stock picker, as you know. I like to come on here and, talk about all these exciting growth companies that I'm buying. American ingenuity, the people and companies driving the world forward. That's what I do for my subscribers. And yet, I think it's important to have a macro perspective. So I think the single most important macro issue right now, Nicole, is the fact that interest rates have been ridiculously low, arguably artificially low, and they're going higher. You can only have Fed bond buying and a zero bound interest rates, at least on the short term, for so long before you ultimately create inflation. Even in that jobs report, you saw today that more people are working longer and they're making more money. I mean, all that's inflationary. I think it's ultimately going to push the 10-year up towards not only 125, but even 150. And you know what's going to happen, Nicole? We're going to get there and everyone's going to say, oh my gosh, 150? Holy cow, this is scary. Well, actually, it's not scary, and it's still really low, but it'll still give people a cause for pause, and they'll say, oh, hang on, maybe we can't afford to, pay these high valuations for stocks as we have been paying. We'll get over that, but I can guarantee you, Nicole, that you're going to have me back in probably May or June and say, Adam, the yield's at 150. What does it mean? And we'll say, it doesn't mean all that much right now, but it just means that, rates have been really low and they're probably going higher. So I think that's sort of a bugaboo that should be on everybody's radar screen. And that's one of those big picture things you're talking about, Nicole.
Right, yeah. Let's talk about some of the stocks. I know you sold some stocks recently. You can throw those out there very quickly. Sure. But I'm also most interested in some of the stocks that you've been talking about now. You have a stock that's similar to Teladoc. I'm interested in that one. You have another one that's similar to Carvana. What did you sell, why, and then tell me about the other two that I just mentioned.
Okay, so I'm very specific about process. At bullseyebrief.com, for my subscribers, I write up one new stock pick every week. And on that stock pick, I set a buy range where I want to own it, a stop in case I'm wrong, typically down about 20%, and then a target. And one thing I do religiously, Nicole, is I always sell half of my position, no matter how much I like it. I always sell half if it hits the target. You're only rational once, and it's before you buy the stock, right? So that's why you set a target in advance and you honor that discipline and sell. So Bank of America hit my target. I sold. Goldman Sachs hit my target. I sold. Pioneer hit my target. I sold. Lumentum hit my target. I sold. There have been a lot of names that, have hit their targets, and you just have to honor that discipline because in my case, every week, there's a new name potentially coming in. You mentioned two of them. One is Telemed. If you like Teladoc, I think you need to take a look at Telemed, trading at about $7. I think it's the next Teladoc. Just as Teladoc connects people to doctors, Telemed connects hospitals to other doctors. So if you're a rural hospital in Huntsville, Alabama, and you have someone come into the emergency room with potentially a stroke, but you don't have a cardiologist who's able to be right there in the ER in that moment, well, you're able to connect that patient to a cardiologist and ICU specialist thanks to telemed. They have a wonderful product that's a video screen they roll up next to your bed with all of the electronics that can hook up to you right away. That's exciting, right? I think it's the next telemed.
I see it at 760. So you're saying it's up 4% today. So you're saying get it here, buy it here, or buy it at least in part around here, and then what? How long do you hold it for? Where do you sell?
My target's 75. I think this is a 10-bagger. And I think, frankly, Nicole, I'm way too low.
Buy it here at $7.50 and sell it over $70?
That's what we do, Nicole. I got my subscribers into Teladoc at under $20, and now Teladoc's trading at $300. I think today it's at $286. I mean, that's the whole point. Find wonderful, exciting companies that are changing the world, changing the way we live, that have a huge growth opportunity, run the numbers, figure out what the assumptions are, and then go out and buy them. And by the way, don't argue, don't worry about if your $12 stock went down to, $10.50. That's not the point. Again, like Teladoc, we bought this thing in the teens, and it's now $290. That's what we're trying to do here. I'll give you another one for your subscribers, Carvana. Okay, Carvana is the name that also I bought in the teens. I sold it way too soon. My target was too low. That too is in the upper 200s. I sold that at about 200. But again, it was a 10-bagger. And I'll tell you, I think the next one is a company called Shift, S-H-T. SFT, Shift. And same sort of thing. What's amazing about the used car market, Nicole, it's the biggest retail opportunity in the world. $840 billion worth of used cars change hands every year. And less than 1% of that market happens online. Carvana, as wonderful as it is, and as much as we talk about Carvana, has only about 0.6% of market share. All right. And that's trading up around 300. Well, Shift, again, another $7 stock. You come in and buy this. Don't worry about whether a $7 stock goes to 6 or you pay 7 versus 8. Excuse me. I think this one, again, is a 10-bagger, and I think I'm probably way too low.
So it's at $8. You think it goes up to 80 is your point?
Correct. Absolutely.
Right? That's when you say 10-bagger. I can't get over this. All right, just a quick on the others. I know you have IC, JAMF, VLDR.
Yeah. JAMF, which stands for JAMF, Just Apple My Friends, right? That was a thing that sort of kind of grew up on the internet, and now it's actually a legit company. Just Apple My Friends. Let's say you're a company and you have Windows, Microsoft Office for your employees, but now all your employees have been working from home, and they say, hey, I use an Apple machine at home. It's so convenient. It just works. I want to use my Apple machines at work. Well, employees are now effectively forcing corporate IT departments to adopt Apple, and JAMF helps them do that. JAMF provides the complete IT stack that a corporate IT department needs in order to manage all their employees. And the beautiful thing about this company, Nicole, JAMF, again, ticker JAMF, is that they work with Apple to completely orient a person's new laptop or desktop, whatever, iPad, you name it, phone, so that when that person, that employee, gets the box from Apple and opens it and turns it on, it's already loaded with everything that company needs to help that employee be productive. It's really exciting.